Alright, so today I'm going to show you guys the new RipCut from Kreg. Basically, you can rip things without a table saw. This one goes up to 24 inches. One of the big benefits is it's a black bar with white numbers, so easy to see the numbers. You can kind of just set the guide here, forget it, repeat the cuts over and over and over again. I mean, you can see on the camera there too, like this is way smaller than a table saw would be. So definitely a space saver. A lot of the times you already have a circular saw. We're going to be using a circular saw that Craig's going to be putting out here soon. And you can see that it's got a right side blade orientation. Pretty nice with the RipCut. When I set this up later, because you run the guide like this. So that's nice having it on this side anyway. But yeah, just a lot of space saver. I mean, this works with what? Compact, full size worm drive, jigsaw, and a trim router. So you can stick whatever you can into the sled. It goes up pretty quick, and you can put it together pretty quick. So we're going to open it up, stick this circular saw in there, rip some things down, and just, if you're thinking, why should I buy this? Well, show you some tips and tricks on it, how it works before you make the decision. Or if you have it and you don't want to read the manual, well, you just watch me put it together. All right, and also, the one thing I forgot to mention is this RipCut will actually do a bevel cut. So you can do a long rip, big old bevel. It's usually pretty hard cut to make on a table saw anyway. So I think with this sled and this circular saw, we can make quick work of it. So I'll start putting this together and we'll see how she does. All right. There's the rail. Alright, so it doesn't look too complicated here. Alright, so one of the first things probably that you're going to pay attention to is just what hand you want on the guide versus what hand you want on your saw. So this is I guess, a right hand operation, so that way this will guide along my stock or wood or plywood, whatever I'm cutting there, and then I probably prefer to do the saw anyway, because it's like I said before, this saw is on the right side of the saw or saw blade. So yeah, I just think, something like that feels about right. Usually when you're ripping down with the sled or RipCut or a guide like this, you want your strong hand or your main hand to be on the sled, holding it against the material, because the saw is just going to you're just pushing that anyway. So it makes quick work of everything. So we'll set ours in a right hand operation. I'm right-handed, so that's kind of nice. So if you are left-handed, just turn everything around. Set it up like this and use the wrong hand. But we will do a right-handed orientation there. That's going to be like that. Sweet. Just checking. It is perfectly square, as it should be. So I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but if you're setting this up, it's kind of foolproof, which is nice because they have these little pegs right here. You don't actually screw those in, but it makes it easy to put together because he's got these two little pegs in here. So pretty nice. I'll just start doing the sled part. All right, so obviously I sped that up a little bit there. It's just one-page instructions, two-page instructions, not hard to follow at all. It's pretty self-explanatory. The only thing is with these little plastic cap tops here, you just want to press your bolts in there pretty well, your screws, and then just kind of give everything a good tighten down so it really sucks it in there. So that way your bolt kind of gets anchored in these tops, because these are how you're going to be, you know, adjusting things later. This is how the sled adjusts, so you can fit, you know, trim routers, jigsaws, full-size saws. So this is kind of the cool part, and this is why you can do bevel cuts, because this is completely open. So, and you can get your just blade in there and just eat it any way you want, tilt it any way you want there. So that's kind of nice. See this right here. This should just slide in here. Okay, and then one of the last things to do is we'll lock that down, and we'll get the last piece in here. Nice. Okay, it's simple, super simple. Once we get the saw in here, just move it, adjust it. Good to go. We'll see when we get the saw blade in here, actually. All right, so first things first, when you're going to mount a saw on here is just go ahead and take the sled completely off the rail. You don't want to be thinking about that when you're trying to get a saw on. I've already found out I like to leave this wing, this right side wing, stationary, and just dork around or mess around with moving this other wing over here like that. So get all these swivel clamps out of the way. You want to make room or make a way to get to these grips right here. They kind of hold that base of the saw temporarily until you get it into place. So we're going to put this circular saw in. One thing's kind of important, safety first. It's easy to take the battery out. You don't want to accidentally turn this thing on, you know, slice your hand open or something. So just take the battery out, disconnect from power. Always good to be safe. And then just, you can kind of use your body here and just align it like that. So I like to deal with one side at a time if I can, but you can lock it. You can lock it in like this. Once you're tight, pretty simple. I'm gonna tighten that down, and then just kind of work it one side at a time. You just take the swivel clamp, slide it over, get it over the saw, tighten that side down, and you're just turning screws. I mean, pretty easy to mount onto this sled here, but I like to get the right wing nice and tight, nice and snug. Not really worried about the left wing yet. Just get it nice and snug in here. Because once one side's nice and tight, you can do the other side pretty simple. The reason I do like to do this side first is just there's nothing in the way on this side. Naturally, most of the saw right here, as you can see, it's just blocking a lot of the swivel. So there's only one place to put it, really. But saw needs power to cut something. So pretty simple. Just get them in here, tighten down to the wing, then tighten down to the saw. I mean, yeah, none of it's hard. Pretty easy setup. I'm gonna tighten that down. Just grab your rail. After the saw is all snug in there and tight, you're going to throw it in. This needs to be in the unlock position. There you go. All right, so we're going to talk about just one thing. When you get this on here and you're going to calibrate this cursor like we talked about in the last video, you want to lift your saw blade guard up and pull your sled into your blade like this. Kind of get everything snug, get everything tight. Once your blade is right next to the sled, go ahead and lock this. So while you're holding this, kind of let it tilt down. Just keep that sled up to the base of your circular saw, and you're going to move your cursor over to line up with this line right here. So this is the edge of your blade. Cursor's lined up here. Super easy to calibrate these 90-degree cuts. And after that, you can unlock it, set your rip cut for, let's say 3 inches. lock it in, and there you go. Now you're doing 3-inch rip cuts. So we'll get some plywood up here. We'll do a couple passes, a couple cuts, see how easy this thing goes, and see how well the saw takes on a little sheet of plywood there. All right, so going to kind of get a little bit of practice cut, obviously, but it's going to go ahead and rip something down. You know, if you're doing, I don't know, let's say a 6-inch stock, helps to unlock it all the way. Just kind of slide it out. Do it right at 5.5, because that's just like you'd buy in the store. I don't know if you could see that, but basically what you do is you line up your cursor here. You got 5, 5.5 right in the middle. You got 6 over here. So this saw is set to cut the 5.5 inch piece here, and back you guys up. We'll take a look and see how she does. Okay, so getting ready to cut. I know I'm far away here, but you've got this handle here. Start the circular saw, and you're just going to keep that pressure on the edge of your stock there the whole way through, and just give it a rip. Okay, pretty simple, pretty easy. Take you on a little tour here. But you can see, I mean, this is 3/4 inch sanded plywood. That thing handled it like a champ, really. So, circular saw gets a pass. But yeah, I mean, you can see it's just ripping. I mean, it's a lot of sawdust, but it's easy to hold that sled right along the edge here, and you get a nice straight line. I mean, most of your standard table saws are going to have some trouble doing that type of a cut anyway. So, yeah, it looks good. And then the best thing about it is the sled's already set. You can just rip another identical piece like this down. So, let's go ahead and do that and see how simple it is. Okay, so that stock there. Slide this over. This is the best part, probably the best part about the rip cut. It's already set, and just go again. I'm I screwed that up, didn't I? All right, there you have it. An identical piece to what we just ripped down there. And I'll give you guys the old, give you guys a close-up so you know I'm not lying. But yeah, you know, flush on this side, flush on that side. Pretty dang good. So that's the rip cut in action. You can just, it goes all the way up to 24 inches. Show you that right now. Sawdust off of there. But yeah, you see you've got, you know, all the way up from 1. Can do 24-inch rips. So you can do full sheets right in half there. Go as small as a 1-inch rip. They do say don't go beyond 1 inch, because I mean your fingers, and once you're using this grip, your fingertips are basically in the blade. So yeah, it's a great system. I mean, it's super compact. You can take this off, take the sled off. It's got a really small footprint, and I mean this thing, as you just saw on the camera there, it ripped through this 3/4 inch no problem. So We'll show a bevel cut off here real quick. I'm just gonna go ahead. Got the cursor set. Kind of go to 3.5. Lock her in, and we'll give a bevel cut a shot real quick. So you know how to bevel on a circ saw. It's always on the front here. That's another kind of cool feature I've not seen before. Well, the circ saw actually goes to 57 degrees, which is kind of crazy. Usually these circ saws will stop at 45 or 50, but this thing actually goes all the way to 57, which it's pretty cool. It's pretty rare. Something different. Yeah. So there we go. We got her set up for 45 here. Let's go ahead and rip this down. Let's see what it looks like afterwards. After I move all this other stock out of the way. Camera there. All right. Set that down right there. Okay, so you can hear the saw working on that one, but I mean, not bad at all, really. Kind of take you on the tour there, but get a look at this cut. And there you go. I mean, you heard the saw working on that one too, so kind of put that poor thing to the test, but I mean, it chopped through this no problem. So there you go, a RipCut bevel cut on the Kreg Rip-Cut system there. So I mean, that's what you can do. Don't know why you'd ever want to go more than 3/4 stock, but I mean, that's pretty neat. So all in all, just great features with this system. So I mean, I'll tell you what, that's a hard cut to do on a table saw too. I know my first table saw wouldn't have been able to do that one. So, yeah, circ saw came through, pretty sweet. All right, so figured I'd go over this as well too. When I'm doing a little bit wider piece of stock, ripping it down, I don't mind holding it right here. But as you get closer and closer, so say if you're going to rip down some, 1.5 stock here. This is getting, your hand is, for one, it's pinching the sled, and then also, your hand's right here on the sled for your circ saw. So it's getting dangerously close to the blade here, so you actually hold it the correct way and hold it out here and just kind of guide it this way. So I'll show you what that cut looks like, but thought I'd go over that. I had been cutting everything like this because the blade was, far away, and I like to have my hands on the material while I'm cutting it too, but when you get this close, bring your hand out, be safe. You don't need to lose a thumb to this, and this is kind of how you're supposed to hold it anyway. So I'll show you what that cut looks like right now. All right, so yeah, you can see 1.5 stock, just like you'd find in the store. It's just a 1x2, and you've got to hold it out here just while you're doing that, basically. So be safe, just hold it on the outside when you're doing that. Like I said, the wider stock, I like to hold the material with the sled a little bit, but when you're getting this close, just be safe about it. All right, so that was the RipCut there. Showed you can handle that 3/4 inch plywood, no problem. And you can see with the stock we cut down, I mean, both sides of these are flush. You just can't tell the difference at all, so it's nice. You can just repeat the same rip with this system, no problem at all. Same width, same, you know, consistency there. So it makes working on projects a lot easier. We don't have to do a lot of sanding afterwards and, you know, planing down if you had to. So all in all, it's a great system. This saw, the circ saw, had no problem cutting through this, which was great. So the power's there, and, you know, not a bad saw to get, especially with the orientation of the blade on the right side. You can set up the RipCut either orientation too, so you can see your blade cut and then just kind of watch it as you're gliding the sled along there. So, you know, if you're thinking like, why would I do this over a table saw or anything like that? I mean, these 3/4 inch plywood stock here, a lot of beginner table saws don't stand a chance. They can't cut through this. I started out with a circ saw, so a little system like this would have been nice because I was using clamps and levels for all that. But, you know, those beginner table saws don't have the power to get through this. So if you're thinking, you know, why this over a table saw? Well, you have to get a pretty big, beefy table saw to even cut stock like this. Another great feature, I mean, this will cut up to 24 inches, so you can rip that 4x8 sheet in half, no problem, with this thing. So, you know, and if you're thinking that this is just yet another battery platform, if you don't want to pick this up when it comes out soon here, these wings, the Sled, these wings are adjustable, they move. You know, as long as this thing has a base or a plate, you can kind of adjust this down and you can stick whatever you want in here. So if you already got a saw, a circ saw, and you're just looking to make some rip cuts, well, perfect. Your saw is going to fit in here. You don't have a circ saw, I mean, jigsaw, routers, compact saws. So the way they've designed this, you can squeeze this down, do whatever you want with it, stick it in there, make a bevel cut, lock it in and get it ripping. So it's a great system. That's kind of where it fits, I think. You know, you can see that's the real estate it takes up on the bench here. I mean, you can kind of squeeze this thing anywhere you want in your shop. So if you're strapped for room like I used to be, kind of starting out there in an apartment, I mean, you can just get this in anywhere. So table saws is one thing. They need a lot of real estate to operate, and even more to outfeed. So it's a great system. Yeah, like I said, that's where it kind of fits. If you liked what you saw and this kind of helped you out, if you're thinking about the different options there, hopefully it helped you out. If there's something else I left out or didn't get to, just let me know in the comments below. I'll try to answer those and give you the best answer I can, since I've already got the thing and can kind of clue you on some more features it had that I maybe didn't show in this video. And yeah, thanks for watching. You know, subscribe if you liked it, and we'll see you on the next one.